or now that we wasted the entire day because of like with fear about what happened this morning and whatever, and two word combinations that set that whole thing off today. We need to go back to the James Taylor in Boston. It's really important. I really wish someone. By the way, someone said they have no choice other than to do the games. I mean, they have no choice. Maybe they know something we don't. Fine, they wasted the whole day. Whatever came out. That's how it works. Okay, here James Taylor in Boston. It's really interesting. They were covering what's happening there's a big baseball game in Boston, and one of the attendees is this. I don't know what kind of people listened to his music when he was making it. Some type of I don't know, but I mean it was called James Taylor, I mean musician. If you don't know, now they asked him, "Oh, you're here. You're at whatever it is, the big baseball stadium there. Like, what do you want to know what he thinks of what's going on?" He said, "Well, the city, they had that terrible bombing so recently, and this big baseball game here, it's you could just tell it's bad. Yeah, everybody's healing, once it just the city comes together like this, and yeah, I do think they're healing, from that experience and everything, and he said, yeah, and it's just great. And he started talking about how he makes music and like, yeah, music is healing too. And I make music, he said, and this is it's just great, Um, um, what is interesting is James. I mentioned that I was in a psychoanalysis cult that I had to get out of, which is also part of like may or may it's the cult, the think tanks, for a political movement or something. But James Taylor was the only person who's well known who's ever been there. It makes sense because his music is like is so terrible, but that he would be in a rotten like place like that. But what we're getting at is this. I brought to mind this because it's what's true of that whole. That's where I was really interested. Those who control the institutions, like at this time, meaning all our economic institutions, the universities from the top level down, psychoanalysis research centers that are any policy position anyone's in, they're educated in if they're an economist, if they're anything to do with like political scientists. Okay, our entire society is staffed with these people all the way up to the top, academically trained people in the social sciences. Now, it's interesting that James Taylor said, "Oh, geez, I remember, that guy's the only famous guy that's ever been in that psychoanalysis place." It's so interesting that he says, the city's healing, from that big bombing, Love to ask a person who was in a psychoanalysis cult like that what he thinks happened. What does he think happened? Well, here's the thing. No one knows why anything happens. There's a giant bombing in our own country. In a major city in our own country, there was a bombing. That's like, it's like why? What would be good? It'd be good to know the reasons, like, to prevent the likelihood of it happening again. Why did it happen? The city's healing, and especially, but the fact that he was, he didn't say anything about that. He looked very happy to be on TV, but like, right, it does bring something up, which is this is what we're living under. Okay, this is the effect it's had. What the people who are in that psychoanalysis cult, the social scientists, the people that are the entire society is basically that's who's in policy positions. Okay. He said, James Taylor actually said, well, you see, I like making music and it heals people, and he said, it heals people, and he used the word. He says it's something real. He said it's empirical. Music is because it's real. It's real. It's that real. It's empirical. Here's the thing. I guarantee you that no one. If you ask university professors, if you ask anybody educated why they think there was a bombing in Boston, they say, I don't know. There's just the city has to heal, though. Yeah, but why did it happen? I mean, what happened? Why would someone do that? Even before they caught, I think they caught a suspect. But why? Why? Well, here's the thing. Why does no one know why anything happens? And why do things like that keep happening? It's because of who controls the institutions. But he said music's real. It's empirical. Right, meaning like he's saying it's so real, it's like a material thing. It's like a material is what he's saying. And then it's empirical. What we found out is that all the different things, why are the economy is disintegrating, why there's terrorism happening everywhere, why whoever controls the institutions, that affects how reality happens. Okay? It's happening because of their theorems, whatever is happening, the way life is happening in a society has to do with who controls the institutions, and what they are is right. Just like I said, they believe in it's what's called empiricism. It's true. Empiricism, as a form of rationalism, means you need empirical evidence for something. What they believe is nothing is legitimate. You can't make a claim unless you can validate it empirically, like with a math formula or with something on it like that, scientific. And like they have sophisticated books with math equations. What that means is this: it means that anything, any policy you want to put on, anything you want to do to a society, anything you want to do overseas, anything could be. Anything you want to do to a person. Anything can be is okay to do as long as it is empirically rational. That is, as long as you have done a study, and the study would indicate we can do this. So we can, this will work. If anything you want to do, no matter how many people it harms, no matter what it creates, as long as it's empirically rational, it should be done. That's why our economy is in the state it is. Okay, but here's the thing: you also can't. What people call empiricism, form of rationalism, it's been called the suicide of reason, the systematic denial of the existence of an objective reality. That's they cover up a lot. By the way, it's covered over empiricism and rationalism. It's covered over with a word called liberalism. How they smuggle it in. It's the suicide of reason. Here's the thing. If I said, well, look, no one knows why that happened, well, surely we can speculate. I mean, one thing, who did it and why would it happen? Geez, well, I can imagine, like, just as an example, maybe it was people who were, like, in a political movement who want to, like, who are, protesting that this ongoing mass incarceration of black people. That could be someone who would, do that, given what's happening to black people in the country, right? I mean, maybe there's a political, like, group that did maybe that's what happened, Yeah, I didn't hear anything about a mass incarceration. Well, it's being caused by empirical studies that were done at economics departments and things that showed that you can do something to the economy and it'll work. It'll work really well. They tried it out in Chile. When they brought it here, it's a structural adjustment to the entire economy designed on blackboards. That's what neoliberalism is. Okay? It not only has it entirely structurally adjusted a massive population of people out of the economy, but it's led to a mass incarceration and the building of more and more and more prisons. Now, if I said, geez, maybe there's like a political group that wants that stopped, and that's who did the bombing. So, well, how do you know that, Steve? I'm just, it's one of many things that might have happened. If someone asked me why something happened, that could be a reason. And the answer is, what's your empirical evidence? That's what our institutions are controlled by. People say, well, you can't just How do you, well, I said, I don't know. There's a mass incarceration going on. It's from policies you designed at these institutions. I can imagine someone, you know, someone's protesting that. They want the mass incarceration stopped. They want these economic policies stopped. Maybe that's who did it. And they said, no, well, what's your empirical evidence? If you don't have a study that you can demonstrate, well, how could I would say, well, how could I demonstrate that? The highest level policy people, the people who did this stuff, how could I can't think of a way to do that. I mean, no, but I'm just saying, it's certainly like if we stop the mass incarceration, people, maybe that would stop. Then again, it could have been, someone, it could have been a person from, Chile. Why would it be a person coming over from Chile? Well, after what we did to their economy and never recovered and put them on a dictator, maybe there's some, there's people who, now it was done to our economy, maybe people came over here and they're protesting that, these economic policies. Why? You can't just make a claim like that. Would say anyone in a policy-making position they're all empiricists, right? Can you do a study to demonstrate that? Well, no, of course not. But I'm just coming up with reasons after what you've done to the economy and what you're doing overseas with your math formulas. Right, I'm just thinking of people, but at least people should know the different kinds of people who could have done such a thing in protest, because then we would know, right, we better stop the mass incarceration, we may better stop inflicting economic policies on other societies that disintegrate their economy. We might want to stop doing that, or there'd be more terrorism. So where do you get these theories from, they'd say? Have you done a study? If you haven't done a study, then we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and the public is to think these things happen for no reason, and they're not even allowed to conjecture. And that's that. That's what we're living under. That's what we're living under.